Division 2, can you read me?
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. So take a break for a while, then we will join back. SKD sir left now.
Yes, sir.
So he has a class in Division 1. He was not there yet. Okay. So yesterday we were talking about the pollution levels and how the pollutants affect what happens. And we'll continue with that. But to understand that, what I realized is that to first we need to understand the structure of the atmosphere, and which is obviously there in your later modules when we come to meteorology part of it. So meteorology is going to talk about the structure of the Earth's atmosphere. But just to take a crash course on that, we do have a short video which will give you good idea about how the structure is laid down. I will show you that first, and then we can continue with the lecture. It's a short video, but very informative. Let me click that and start for you. You can also see that on the model. It is there in Moodle in the chapter, which is after your fieldwork, Earth's atmosphere. You'll find a video has been uploaded there, video clip on composition of the Earth's atmosphere. Right now, I'll play the link for you.
Structure of
Can you hear and see the video?
the atmosphere. Well, the atmosphere
Yes, sir.
consists
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so I'll
Yes, sir.
continue with this, and you can have a good look at it, pay attention, be focused. You will understand in 12 minutes what it means.
In this video, we shall learn the chapter Structure of the Atmosphere. Well, the atmosphere consists of different layers with varying density and temperature. Density is highest near the surface of the earth and it decreases with increasing altitude. The column of atmosphere is divided into 5 different layers depending upon the temperature conditions. They are, first one is troposphere, which extends up to 8, that is 8 to 18 kilometers. Then it is stratosphere up to 50 kilometers. Then it is mesosphere. It extends from about 50 to 85 kilometers above our planet. Then comes the thermosphere that lies between 85 kilometers to 500 kilometers. Then comes the exosphere that lies between 500 to 10,000 kilometers. Talking about the first layer, and that is troposphere. Troposphere is the lowest layer of Earth's atmosphere. Most of the mass, that is about 75 to 80% of the atmosphere, most of the types of clouds are found in the troposphere, and almost all weather occurs within this layer. The troposphere is by and far the wettest layer of the atmosphere, and all the layers above contain very little moisture. The bottom of the troposphere is the Earth's surface. The height of the top of the troposphere varies with latitude. Its average height is 13 kilometers and extends roughly to a height of 8 kilometers near the poles and about 18 kilometers at the equator. So, what do we understand? It is lowest over the poles and highest at the equator. The thickness of the troposphere is greatest at the equator because heat is transported to great heights by strong convectional currents, that is, vertical currents here. The height also varies by season. It is lower in winter and higher in summer. It can be as high as 20 kilometers near the equator and as low as 7 kilometers over the pole in winters. Now, this layer contains dust particles, water vapor, storm, clouds, and rain. All changes in climate and weather takes place in this layer. The temperature in this layer decreases at the rate of 1 degree for every 165 meters of height. That is why the peaks of tall mountains can be snow covered even in the summertime. This is the most important layer of all biological activities. In this layer, the temperature decreases with height. The reason is the density of air decreases. It means the density of air is high near the ground, and as we go to higher altitudes, the density of air decreases. So there are less air particles and the heat absorbing capacity of the air decreases. And that is why when you go to higher altitudes, it is cool and pleasant. The zone separating the troposphere from stratosphere is known as tropopause. The air temperature at the tropopause is about minus 80 degrees Celsius over the equator and about minus 45 degrees Celsius over the poles. The temperature here is nearly constant and hence it is called tropopause. Then comes the stratosphere. The stratosphere is found above the tropopause and extends up to a height of 50 kilometers. The bottom of the stratosphere is around 10 kilometers above the ground at mid-latitude. The top of the stratosphere occurs at an altitude of 50 kilometers. The height of the bottom of the stratosphere varies with latitude and with the seasons. The lower boundary of the stratosphere can be as high as 20 kilometers near the equator and as low as 7 kilometers at the poles in winter. The lower boundary of the stratosphere is called the tropopause. The upper boundary is called stratopause. One important feature of the stratosphere is that it contains the ozone layer. It lies between altitude 20 to 50 kilometers. It heats this layer as it absorbs energy from incoming ultraviolet radiation from the sun. Temperatures rise as one moves upward through the stratosphere. Temperature rises from minus 60 degrees Celsius at the base to 0 degrees Celsius at the stratopause. This is exactly the opposite of the behavior in the troposphere in which we live, where temperature drops with increasing altitude. Because of this temperature stratification, that is, because of this temperature layers, there is little convection and mixing in the stratosphere. So the layers of air there are quite stable. Commercial jet aircraft fly in the lower stratosphere. This is to avoid turbulence, which is very common in troposphere. Next comes mesosphere. The mesosphere is a layer of Earth's atmosphere. It is directly above stratosphere and below thermosphere. It extends from about 50 to 85 kilometers above our planet. Temperature decreases with height throughout the mesosphere. The coldest temperatures in Earth's atmosphere, that is about minus 90 degrees Celsius, are found near the top of this layer. The boundary between the mesosphere and the thermosphere above it is called the mesopause. At the bottom of the mesosphere is the stratopause, that is the boundary between the mesosphere and the stratosphere below. The mesosphere is difficult to study, so less is known about this layer of atmosphere than other layers. Then comes the thermosphere. The thermosphere is directly above the mesosphere and below the exosphere. It extends from about 90 kilometers to between 500 to 1000 kilometers above our planet. Temperatures climb sharply in the lower thermosphere. Then level off and hold fairly steady with the increasing altitude above their height. Solar activity strongly influences temperature in the thermosphere. The thermosphere is typically about 200 degrees Celsius hotter in the daytime than at night, and roughly 500 degrees Celsius hotter when the sun is very active than at other times. Temperatures in the upper thermosphere can range from about 500 degrees Celsius to 2000 degrees Celsius or higher. The boundary between the thermosphere and the exosphere above is called thermopause. At the bottom of the thermosphere is the mesopause, the boundary between the thermosphere and the mesosphere below. Then comes the exosphere. The exosphere is the uppermost layer where the atmosphere thins out and merges with interplanetary space. It lies between 500 to 10,000 kilometers above the Earth. In this layer, temperature increases with height. The most common molecules within Earth's exosphere are those of the lightest atmospheric gases. Hydrogen is present throughout the exosphere with some helium, carbon dioxide, and atomic oxygen near its base. Because it can be hard to define the boundary between the exosphere and outer space, the exosphere may be considered a part of interplanetary or outer space. It is located directly above the thermosphere. Very little is known about it due to lack of research. The ionosphere is the ionized part of the Earth's atmosphere. The ionosphere is located between 60 and 1000 kilometers above the mesopause. The ionosphere is not a distinct layer like others mentioned above. Instead, the ionosphere is a series of regions in parts of the mesosphere and thermosphere where high energy radiations from the sun has knocked electrons loose from their parent atoms and molecules. The electrically charged atoms and molecules that are formed in this way are called ions, giving the ionosphere its name and endowing this region with some special properties. It contains electrically charged particles known as ions, and hence it is known as ionosphere. Radio waves transmitted from the Earth are reflected back to the Earth by this layer. It contains electrically charged ions which create a display of lights 400 kilometers. It is known as aurora borealis in the northern hemisphere and aurora australis in the southern hemisphere. Ions reflect radio waves back to the Earth's surface, and this enables us to have wireless communication. The Earth is constantly bombarded with debris, radiation, and other magnetic waves from space that could threaten the future of life as we know it. Most of the time, the planet's own magnetic field does an excellent job of deflecting these potentially harmful rays and particles, including the one that is coming from the sun, which is known as solar wind. The particles discharged from the sun travel 93 million miles towards the earth before they are drawn irresistibly towards the magnetic north and south poles. As the particles pass through the Earth's magnetic shield, they mingle with atoms and molecules of oxygen, nitrogen, and other elements and result in a dazzling display of lights in the sky.
So was that informative enough to understand? In fact, I should have shown you this video before we started air pollution. Nevertheless, I realized that later yesterday when people were not able to answer the different layers of the atmosphere, which I believe is taught to you in school. Okay. Any questions?
No, sir.
So, yesterday we had stopped at the effects of air pollution. Now, uh, talking about air pollution, what are the effects on the living organism, plants, material, and the stratosphere? The stratosphere, as you saw in the video, is free of most of the clouds, and that's why the aircrafts prefer to fly at that level so that they do not get much of turbulence with the obstructing clouds. And the temperature rise with height takes place in the stratosphere, very contrary to what it happens in the troposphere. So troposphere temperature drops with height, stratosphere it increases with height, and then again you see that mesosphere it consistently decreases with height, and the thermosphere it increases with height. So there are alternate layers where it decreases and increases. Now, air pollution breaks down natural defense of all living organisms, including the humans. And we are the biggest contributor in polluting the air as human beings. Okay, there are some other substances which we use are responsible for depleting the ozone layer and ultimately which is a weakening the defense system or filtration of the ultraviolet rays coming from the sun and destroying the soil or destroying the plantation over there. So you know that plants give off oxygen, and if oxygen content is less, then the air quality is bad. So there are direct and indirect ways by which the pollution is affected due to human activities. Human themselves suffer from respiratory diseases, mutations, reproductive problems, and or cancer, which is harming us, the very humans who are destroying the planet by polluting it. Pollution also chokes the pores of the leaves of the plant, which are responsible for photosynthesis. And slowly, since they cannot process the photosynthesis, they do die. The damage to the buildings and monuments. Taj Mahal, you know, one of the wonders, seven wonders of the world, is Taj Mahal, which was turning yellow, surely but slowly. And this was noticed, and the factories around that were closed down, or their operations are at least closed down. The factories may still be there. In the stratosphere, which is containing the ozone layer, the pollution breaks down this ozone layer, where the pollutants could be CFCs, it could be the halon gas, or the greenhouse gases, which at its densest form is mere one molecule in 100,000 gas molecules. CFCs, that is chlorofluorocarbons, perfumes, room fresheners, sprays, disposable styrofoam cups, and halon gas are the known agents which destroy the uh, filtering layer of the stratosphere called ozone layer. India has signed the Montreal Protocol in 1992, which aims to control the production and consumption of ozone depleting substances. So we are part of it. Now, what does it do to the ozone layer, the air pollution? See, if the filtration does not take place, a lot of people who have sensitive skin will have sunburns. They can even go through cataract problem very fast before the aging of the skin and skin cancer. And uh, all said and done, it weakens the immune system of the humans, plants, and living organisms. Nutrients, contents, and growth legumes and cabbage. We saw this yesterday, how certain plants will not grow and will not flourish if the nutrient content of their soil is affected by the pollution. affecting the plants, animals, planktons, damaging the food chain indirectly. And if the plants are not growing and flourishing in an area, you will find that the oxygen generation is less. You must have come across some videos or screenshots which says a typical type of plants to be grown indoor in your house, so that you have oxygen rich atmosphere in your house. These plants are known to give more amount of oxygen than the others, but they are not very sustainable in urban areas where the pollution is very high. Now, how many of you are using an air purifier at home? Anybody? Nobody yet. But these gadgets are available in the market. If you go to an electronic store like Chroma, Reliance Digital, or Vijay Sales, and all these, you'll find they are expensive, but they are available. They are small portable ones which can be kept in your room, and they will filter the air in your room and give you fresh air. I don't know what the mechanism they work on, but they are available. So I will ask another question. How many of you use wet water purifier at home? Almost all? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
why
sir.
do you use water purifier at home? If you don't use it, is it that you are going to die?
So the water that we get from outside is chemically treated, so we have to purify it before consuming it.
Okay. What about the air? It is chemically polluted.
It is, sir, but as compared to the water, the air is like we can consider it as an exception.
See, 70% of your body is water. That is what science says. Okay.
Yes,
And
sir.
you consume water maybe 4, 5, 6 times a day, maybe 4 liters. But how much air do you consume? Yesterday we saw that 12 kgs of air. When you're sleeping, you are not consuming water, but when you are sleeping, you are still breathing. So let me tell you, when I grew up, when I was small, I had not seen or used a water purifier till 2004. Okay. And how am I alive? मर गया क्या मैं? तुम्हारे सामने हूँ, वीडियो पे देख सकते हो.
No, sir, back then it was very polluted, the water.
No,
I mean, it's polluted now. It wasn't polluted back then.
nothing like that. Nothing like that. See, it is what we were doing. We used to boil water to kill the germs. Okay. Boiling water is a tedious process. A lot of gas is being used, LPG gas, for doing that. Then you have to wait for it to cool down. Then you have to then store it in the bottle and drink it. By the time you have put new lot of water for boiling, the first one is finished. And in 2004, when my son was born, we had to do this exercise. It was adding up to our already tedious work at home. So decided to bring a water purifier, which at that time the osmosis ones were not available, only the ultraviolet ones were available. So I do have the ultraviolet one still, which was bought in 2004. It is still working in my house. It is very much active. I have to change the filters, the carbon filter, a candle, and the other one from at least once a year. And it is working fine. But let me tell you, before that, we used to drink water from anywhere, any place. Okay, like for example, if you have traveled in Mumbai, all the railway stations in Mumbai used to have a canteen on the platform. And during the summertime, when Mumbai is very humid, hot, you are perspiring, you feel thirsty, and carrying of this water bottle was not a norm at that time. So we used to go to the canteen, ask for water, which was free of cost. That guy who used to give you water used to put his 5 fingers in 5 glasses of water and keep it in front of you. Okay, that kind of water we have been drinking, and our immune system was very good because those germs in the water used to act like vaccination. Okay, the weak germs would activate your stronger immune system to fight with those weak germs, what the vaccinations do for you. And free of cost vaccination milta tha. Okay, if your immunity is down at that time, you may get dysentery, vomiting, food poisoning, and all those stuff. But uh, today, we don't want our children to fall sick at all. Okay, especially the mothers at home, they are very, very careful about this. They don't want their children to fall sick because not only it adds up to the doctor's bill, it also adds up to a lot of trauma which the child has to go through. And we try to protect our children more and more. So it was only 2004 when my son was born, this water purifier was brought. Okay. And now I was also thinking of buying the air purifier. What happens is, if you are get used to this kind of water, for example, people who come from America and Europe, they drink only bottled water. They don't drink other water because their immune system is not good. And if they drink water from outside, they bottled water is like distilled water. Though it was earlier called mineral water, now they have stopped calling it because there are zero minerals in it. It is called packaged drinking water now. So they cannot mislead people. So they get dysentery, they get all this because their immune system is not as strong as ours. Now, when you get used to it, you have to also carry the water bottle. So whenever we go to restaurants also, we carry our own water. And if we forget, we don't use the, at least my son, but me and my wife, we are still strong because we drink water from anywhere, and sometimes we have to suffer. So if you put this portable air purifier in your house, which will take care of maybe one room in your house, and then when you go out from your house, your immune system is adapted to that room in your house, again you will get affected very fast. So the more you pamper your body, the more you are going to get affected. But then there are pros and cons about both the things. So we have decided to use the water purifier. Slowly you will find that just like the water purifier is a piece of furniture in the house, air purifier will also become a piece of furniture in the house. Very soon you will see that happening in your lifetime. So the why am I giving you such a big lecture about this is that if you stay in fresh, clean air, the water will also be less contaminated and you will not suffer. But who is polluting that? We are polluting that, humans. And then we are making gadgets to stay away from pollution. So basically, we are trying to fool ourselves, nothing else. Okay, damage the pollution damages the material, the paint, the fabric. As I told you, that buildings in Mumbai require to be painted every couple of years or maximum 4 years, 5 years. But if you come to Pune, buildings in Pune 10, 15 years, you will not have to paint them because they don't lose their texture, they don't become black. One reason is the humidity is less over here, and the second one is that the pollution is less as compared to Pune is catching up with the increasing population, so it will also become a polluted city very soon. In fact, it has become. Now, the fabrics gets damaged, they get faded faster because of the pollutants present in the air. Damaged by the greenhouse effect. With a warmer earth and polar ice caps melting, causing a rise in the ocean levels and flooding of the coastal areas. So they are predicting that if the polar ice cap melts and the water level rises in the ocean, then a lot of places will be underwater by 2050. That is, Bangladesh, Maldives will be underwater or completely, it will be not seen at all. If the water level rises by about 3 meters, that's what the prediction is. And if the whole polar cap melts, then 3 meter is going to be not that difficult. Now tell me a country which people are living at a level below this water. Let's see how much general knowledge you have about this.
So below the sea level.
Yes,
So maybe the Netherlands.
yes, it is the Netherlands. So how are they surviving? And with the increase in the water level, what will happen to them? So they have a very well constructed and established canal waterways. Okay, I'll show you here on the whiteboard. My drawing is not so good, but I'll try. Suppose this is the Netherlands. Okay, so the people who are living at the ground level, and this is protected by their country. So if the water level is here, what happens if it rises? It will overflow and flood the whole country. But what they have done is they have made canals all over the country, and they are utilizing these canals for transporting in inland waterways. Also, a lot of transportation that daily for the common people is also by ferry and boat. And there, when I went 5 years back, I saw the small motorboats which can be hired over there are fitted with electric motors. So no sound from these boats. You can hire them for a very petty amount and take it from one place to another, leave it there. And there are apps on it, just like we have cycles in Pune, Mumbai, Bangalore, which can be picked up with by using an app and taken it to a small distance and dropped it there. Those kind of facilities are available there. So what happens when the water level goes up? They enter the canal, okay, which are dug deep. They are dredged to a deeper level, and then the water enters here instead of flooding the areas where the habitat is human habitat is there. Okay, they have also made a bridge over these canals for the wildlife to travel from one place to another, because the wildlife which was restricted in this area could not pass on the other side because of the canal. So they made bridge for that to go from here to there. Engineering marvel, right from the windmills which you can see to the tulip gardens. It's a country to be visited at least once in a lifetime. Okay, I was there for 6 days before I could board a ship. So I had an opportunity to go around and see in free of cost. I mean, I spent some money for the tour, but otherwise, uh, I was supposed to join a ship from there, a port called Flushing in Netherlands. The ship was delayed. I was 5 to 6 days in the hotel. So every morning I used to go and visit some place and see. Okay, now the rise in temperature will bring about a fall in the agriculture production. That is very dangerous, very alarming. Change in the distribution of solar energy can bring about changes in the habitat around you. So, if the ozone layer is affected, then the distribution of solar energy will be uneven and stronger at places where it is more stronger, where it is already stronger, and it can become stronger in places where it is less stronger now. So previously, where the productive agricultural lands were there, they will suffer from drought weather, and this drought will stop any vegetation from growing over there because of a lack of water. And there will be rainfall in areas like in the desert where the soil is not fertile or nutrient enough for growth to support growth. This could bring about changes in the species of the natural plants. Obviously, the plants which are growing there will change, adapt themselves. Agricultural crops, insects, livestock, and microorganisms will change their habitat from one place to another. In the polar regions, temperature rises caused by global warming would have disastrous effect. So we know that in the polar region, the temperatures have to be maintained at that level to support certain types of life which are adapted to those type of climates. If it starts warming up, you can see already the polar bears are vanishing because they do not get the habitat in which they are supposed to live, or unless they adapt themselves and shed off their fur or whatever they can to keep themselves cool. Could rise of temperature in this area, vast quantities of methane, which is trapped under the frozen soil of Alaska, may be released, and this methane will expedite the global warming up to 3 times faster than what it is happening now. So, if we are not able to cope up and control it, that means the melting of the permafrost in the polar region, then we are looking for disasters. What are the control measures to prevent air pollution? Two methods: preventive technique and effluent control. Proper equipment, scrubbers. I think we spoke about this yesterday. Closed collection recovery system, that is the gases, the CFC gases should not be allowed to leak it in the air. They should be recovered back for any maintenance of the machinery, that is the refrigeration or the air conditioning plant. And then it should be let it again in the same system with topping up of whatever is lost. Scrubbers are like filters. They will take care of the suspended as well as gas in the air and let out the exhaust with a clean air. Use of dry and wet collectors, filters, and electrostatic precipitators. Industry location should be surveyed first and for the topography of that area and the wind direction, and then only permission should be given to make a factory over there. Substitution of raw materials or air pollution. Raw materials like now the CFC gas has been replaced by argon 2225, and the halon gas has been banned from using, and substitute CO2 has come into its place. So this is very much important to control the pollution. India, air pollution, we saw in Delhi introduction of Euro 2. It is already, now we have come out from the Euro standards, we have gone to Bharat standards. If you are aware of, the vehicles are Bharat 4 controlled pollution. Lower sulfur contents in the fuel can help sulfur dioxide from being emitted in the exhaust of fuel 500 ppm and below, and implementing the CNG has improved the air quality in Delhi. That is what they say. Anybody from Delhi? Anybody in the class is from Delhi? Nobody seems like. Because they say that it has improved, but I don't know. We should ask first-hand people who have first-hand experience. Residential locations in India are outpacing industrial air pollution. The pollution in residential area is more than the pollution in the industrial area in some states. That is because of the overuse of vehicular vehicles and the fumes coming out from the burning of diesel and petrol. Absence of any local initiative for action and delay in air pollution. Delhi, as such, have taken some local initiatives like alternate day traveling. Places like London, there are certain areas where if you travel, that's because of the traffic. They have made those rules. You're traveling between 6 p.m., 5 p.m., and 9 p.m. alone in your vehicle, then you will be heavily fined for that. Okay? Reduces traffic by doing so, as well as pollution. In this alternate day of using the vehicle was started first in France to control the pollution. The Supreme Court also played a vital role in protecting the Taj Mahal by obviously stopping the processes in the nearby factories. Data about most polluted cities in India and world and quality monitoring effort is also very old now. We need to update that with the help of internet. So data collection about the quality of air in India. Some places you'll find. Yeah, I told you you can install a weather app which will give you all the data about at least your place and some other major cities, and you can monitor it. Also, some places a big display is put where everybody can see what are the threshold levels and how high you are from those threshold levels, and how the air quality is not suitable on certain days, especially in winters. Legal aspects of air pollution control in India, there are several laws and regulations which are made But the problem in country like ours is the implementation of this. Implementation takes a backseat in spite of having all the regulations which are at par with the Western developed countries. But corruption is one of the biggest cause which does not allow it to implement. The Air uh, Prevention and Control of Pollution Act was legislated in 1981. After the Bhopal gas disaster, a more comprehensive Environment Protection Act (EPA) was passed in 1986 to regulate vehicular pollution. The Central Motor Vehicles Act of 1939 was amended in 1989, and the following this amendment, the exhaust emission rules for vehicle owners. Now you have catalytic converters in the vehicles. That is how we can reach the Euro 4 or Bharat 4 standard. Owners were notified in 1990, and mass emission standards for vehicle manufacturers were enforced in 1991 for the first time. Mass emission norms have been further revised in 2000, and this process will have to be kept on from time to time. Now they are even talking about scrapping of 15-year-old vehicles unless they go for what you call it as a re-registration after the fitness test has been passed. Air pollution, the future. The future is that if the air quality management as well defined program has yet to emerge in India, we need a much more strengthened air quality management where we need to control not only state-wise but the country-wise with continuous monitoring of air if we are to have a better quality of life or better quality of air for improving our life. This would also need an integrated approach with strict air pollution control laws. Strict in sense, laws are there, they're good enough, but implementation and curbing of the corruption. Some of the suggestions are putting a greater emphasis on pollution prevention rather than controlling. We are trying to control PUC, pollution under control. नहीं, pollution under prevention होना चाहिए. So yes, we are doing that. We have put catalytic converters, so it is preventing the pollution. But at the same time, we need to check vehicles whether they have done this every 6 monthly or not. That is the control. Reducing the use of fossil fuels. Now, this is if we start using renewable energy, or if we start using gobar gas and all that, then the fossil fuels will be given some break. Improving the quality of vehicular fuel. Already fuel is very costly, and good quality fuel is going to cost even more. So all these aspects have to be taken into account. Increasing the use of renewable energy. I told you this. So how do we increase and make it available to the every household? So that is about air pollution as far as your syllabus is concerned. Any questions with respect to this? Okay, so tomorrow then we will start with water pollution, which is our next topic. The syllabus is vast, but you need to stay abreast of it because maybe the IMU gives only 15 weeks instead of 17 weeks like it used to be earlier. So since you don't have any question, let's go to the attendance part. Okay, I think who was present here. We go to division 2. Today is 11/03/2022. Time is 09:02. Om Priyam.
Present, sir.
Raj Chaturvedi.
Present, sir.
Ajay Nitendra. 043 Aryan Hitendra. Paras Raj Singh,
Present, sir.
Patil Nilesh,
Present, sir.
Piyush Kumar,
Present, sir.
Piyush Singh,
Present, sir.
Pritam Kumar Dash,
Present, sir.
Qureshi Abdul,
Present, sir.
Raju Kumar, Ranbir Singh,
Present, sir.
Ritul Singh,
Present, sir.
Saharsh Rangappa,
Present, sir.
Sakar Mathur,
Present, sir.
Sarthak Sinha,